All right, so today we are going to do a deep dive into something pretty cool.
Okay.
The world of a recreation policy officer.
All right. Sounds interesting.
I know what you're thinking.
Okay.
Like frisbees and playgrounds, maybe organizing a really intense kickball tournament.
Yeah.
But trust me,
Okay.
it's so much bigger than that.
Okay.
You're really diving into how communities get to experience sports and recreation.
Yeah, that's right. And we have your stack of excerpts from RoleCatcher here, ready to break it all down.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because I'm already intrigued by this.
Okay.
What is the first thing that jumps out at you from this material? What should we unpack first?
I think what's really fascinating here is RoleCatcher paints this picture of a recreation policy officer, not just as an organizer, but as a change maker.
Okay.
They really are identifying problems and crafting some really smart policies that actually improve people's lives.
Okay, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Okay, so imagine you're really passionate about getting kids in your city involved in sports, right? But you notice certain neighborhoods don't have access to quality sports facilities. A recreation policy officer would be the one that's researching these inequalities.
Wow.
Maybe even presenting data to city officials and pushing for funding to build new parks or renovate existing ones.
So we're talking about impacting things on like a community-wide level.
Exactly.
It's like you said, identifying a problem and then using policy to actually fix it.
Yeah.
That's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff, and it goes beyond just your local parks and rec centers.
Okay.
Think like national trends in youth sports, the impact of physical activity on public health, even how to support athletes competing on a global stage.
Wait, so a recreation policy officer could be advising like Olympic committees?
Absolutely.
That's a whole other level.
Yeah, if you think about it, the policies that govern sports and recreation influence everything, from how athletes train to how funding is allocated.
Right.
A skilled recreation policy officer can have a hand in shaping the entire landscape.
Okay, so I'm definitely getting the sense that this isn't just like a cushy desk job.
Right.
This seems like a career with a lot of responsibility and a lot of potential impact.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
And speaking of different levels of responsibility,
Yeah.
RoleCatcher does a really good job of breaking down the career path
Okay.
from entry level all the way up to the top dog, the principal recreation policy officer.
Ooh, a career ladder. I love it.
Yes.
So let's say you're just starting out fresh out of college,
Okay.
eager to make a difference. What does that first rung on the ladder look like according to RoleCatcher?
So think of it as building your toolkit.
Okay.
At the entry level, it's about getting that hands-on experience. Maybe you're assisting with research projects, compiling data on community sports programs, or even helping to organize community events.
Okay, so getting your hands dirty and learning the ropes from the ground up.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But what I think is interesting is even their example of an entry-level recreation policy officer already has a degree in sports science
Yeah.
and some pretty impressive certifications.
Yeah, it highlights how competitive this field can be even at the starting line.
Yeah.
It's not just about showing up with a love for sports.
Right.
You need to demonstrate a real commitment to the policy side of things.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So you're not just organizing your fantasy football league here. You need to understand how policies are made,
Right.
implemented, and how they ultimately impact people's lives.
Yeah, you got to blend your passion for sports and recreation with this like sharp analytical mind
Right.
that can navigate the world of policy.
Yeah.
And as you gain experience and expertise, you climb that ladder to become a junior recreation policy officer.
Okay, so you've paid your dues, learned the ropes.
Yes.
What kind of exciting challenges await you at this next level?
Yeah.
Walk me through it.
As a junior recreation policy officer, you're stepping up from assisting to leading. This is where you really start flexing your policy muscles.
Yeah.
Maybe you're conducting your own research projects,
Yeah.
analyzing the effectiveness of existing programs, or even drafting policy recommendations.
So less about fetching coffee and more about bringing your own ideas to the table.
Right.
I love that.
Yes,
And I bet the example profile at this stage reflects that, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher highlights a junior recreation policy officer with a master's degree in public policy, specializing in sports and recreation.
Okay.
And get this, they've already got certifications in program evaluation and grant writing.
Okay, so they're not just passionate about sports. They're strategic thinkers who know how to navigate the bureaucratic maze
Right.
and maybe even secure some funding for their awesome ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It shows you how this role blends those practical skills with that bigger picture thinking.
Yeah.
You need to understand how to get things done within the system.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. You're not just daydreaming about amazing sports programs, you're figuring out how to make them a reality.
Exactly.
So what happens as you climb even higher?
Yeah.
What does a senior recreation policy officer do?
Now you're becoming a real influencer.
Okay.
Leading strategic planning initiatives,
Okay.
advising high-level decision makers, even representing your organization at national conferences.
Okay, so you've gone from the rookie learning the ropes
Yeah,
to the seasoned pro everyone's looking to for guidance.
exactly.
That's quite a journey.
Yeah, and it's reflected in the experience level RoleCatcher emphasizes at this stage.
Okay.
Their example, our senior recreation policy officer has a PhD in sports policy
Wow.
and has literally written the book, or at least several research papers on the subject.
Now, that's what I call walking the walk.
Right.
They've gone from absorbing knowledge to becoming a source of knowledge themselves.
Exactly.
What an incredible career trajectory.
It really shows the potential for growth in this field. But it's important to be realistic about both the amazing opportunities and the challenges.
Okay.
Luckily, RoleCatcher dives into both.
Okay, lay it on me.
All right.
Let's start with the good stuff.
Okay.
What are some of the most appealing aspects of this career, according to RoleCatcher?
Well, flexibility is a big one.
Okay.
Now, this likely varies depending on the specific role and organization.
Right.
But generally, recreation policy officers might have some leeway in setting their own schedules.
So maybe this is a good path for someone who wants to make a big impact, but also values like a good work-life balance.
Exactly.
Having time for, actually enjoying some recreation themselves.
Right. And this might surprise you,
Yeah.
but they also list the opportunity to work outdoors as a major perk.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about policy wonks, not park rangers.
Right. But remember, these are the folks shaping how people use and enjoy outdoor spaces.
Okay.
So site visits to parks, evaluating sports programs, even attending community events.
Yeah.
It can be a pretty active job at times.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I guess you can't rate effective policy from behind a desk all the time.
Right.
You've got to get out there and see the impact firsthand.
Precisely. And of course, there's the big one, the opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're improving access to sports for underserved communities, promoting healthy lifestyles, or supporting athletes at all levels, you're creating positive change.
And that sense of purpose is a huge motivator for a lot of folks drawn to this field.
Yeah.
But it's not always easy, and RoleCatcher doesn't shy away from that.
Right, because no job is perfect.
Exactly.
What are some of the challenges they highlight that someone considering this career should be aware of?
One of the first things they mention is the potential for limited job opportunities.
Yeah.
It's a specialized field, often tied to government agencies or nonprofit organizations,
Right.
which might not always have a ton of openings.
So it's not like you're just competing with other sports enthusiasts.
Right.
You're competing with other highly qualified individuals who have the degrees, the certifications, and the burning desire to make a difference.
Exactly. And even when you land the job, you're not always working with unlimited resources.
Right.
RoleCatcher brings up budget constraints as a real and constant challenge.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I can imagine pouring your heart and soul into designing an incredible youth sports program, only to be told there's just not enough funding.
Right.
Talk about a reality check.
Exactly. And then there's the pressure of balancing those different stakeholder interests we talked about earlier.
Right, because everyone from parents to politicians probably has an opinion about how things should be run.
Exactly. You've got community members, government officials, athletes, coaches,
Yeah.
all with their own perspectives and priorities.
Right.
And as a recreation policy officer, you're in the middle trying to find solutions that work for everyone.
Sounds like you need the patience of a saint and the negotiating skills of a diplomat. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a challenging field.
Yep.
But for the right person, it sounds incredibly rewarding.
And if you're thinking about taking the plunge, RoleCatcher provides some excellent advice on how to become career ready.
All right, let's hear it. What are the actionable steps someone can take to turn their passion for sports and recreation into a bona fide career as a recreation policy officer? So what's the magic formula?
Yeah.
Is it all about hitting the books, or is there more to it?
RoleCatcher is big on real-world experience,
Okay.
which makes sense.
Yeah.
It's one thing to study policy. It's another to see how it actually plays out in a community.
Right.
They suggest things like internships
Oh,
or volunteer work with sports organizations.
Get those wins on the board early.
Yeah.
I can see how that firsthand experience would be invaluable.
Yeah, you'd learn stuff you just can't get from a textbook.
Right.
And don't underestimate the power of, local involvement.
Oh, okay.
RoleCatcher even suggests joining community development projects or policymaking committees.
Oh, wow.
It shows you're serious about making a difference where you are.
So you're building your resume, but you're also building your network and your understanding of how things actually work.
Exactly.
Smart.
Yeah.
Now let's talk academics.
Okay.
What kind of degrees does RoleCatcher recommend for aspiring recreation policy officers?
It's a fascinating mix, honestly.
Okay.
Of course, there's sports science, recreation management, the obvious contenders,
Right.
but then they throw in public health policy studies,
Right.
even business administration.
Whole business administration. So
Yeah.
this isn't just about loving sports.
Right.
It's about knowing how to manage budgets, advocate for resources, maybe even negotiate a sponsorship deal or two.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like RoleCatcher saying you want to change the game, you got to know how to play the game.
Right.
And that's where those diverse skills come in.
Yeah.
You need to be like a well-rounded individual,
Yeah.
not just a sports fanatic.
I'm starting to see why those example profiles were so impressive.
Yeah.
These are people who've really honed their skills across different disciplines.
It's that combination that makes them so effective.
Yeah. It's about connecting the dots,
Yeah.
knowing how public health intersects with park planning or how understanding community dynamics can influence program design.
Exactly.
It's like that saying, knowledge is power, but in this case, it's diverse knowledge that unlocks the real power to make a difference.
I like that.
Now,
Yeah.
RoleCatcher also mentions certifications.
Yes.
What are some of the key ones to have on your radar?
Think of them as like your badges of honor.
Okay.
The Certified Park and Recreation Professional, or CPRP, is a big one.
Okay.
It shows you're serious about the field and have like a solid foundation of knowledge.
Like the golden ticket for aspiring recreation policy officers.
Exactly.
So you're building your experience, getting those academic credentials, and topping it off with industry-recognized certifications.
Mm-hmm.
What else does RoleCatcher highlight as essential for success in this field?
They make a really interesting point about technology and data analysis transforming the sports and recreation world.
Okay.
Things like using data to track program effectiveness
Mm.
or identify trends in sports participation.
So it's not just about understanding policy, it's about understanding how to leverage data to make those policies even smarter and more impactful.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Suddenly that business administration degree is looking pretty strategic.
Exactly. The future of recreation policy is about using these data-driven insights
Wow.
to make informed decisions and to create positive change.
This deep dive has been eye-opening. It's clear that becoming a recreation policy officer is not for the faint of heart. It takes passion, dedication, and a willingness to constantly learn and adapt. But for those who are up for the challenge, it sounds like an incredibly rewarding and impactful career.
I think the biggest takeaway from RoleCatcher and from our conversation today is that it's not just about checking boxes and getting a job. It's about asking yourself, what kind of positive impact do I want to have on the world of sports and recreation?
Yeah.
And that's the fuel that will drive you forward.
Well said. That is a fantastic note to end on. Thanks for taking this deep dive with me today.
My pleasure.